All right, well, let me do the official introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very excited to welcome our featured guest for this evening. She is an amazing actress and now an author as well. We're very excited to welcome the one and only Sherilyn Fenn to the show. You're on the air with Terry and Tiffany. Welcome.
Hi, Terry and Tiffany. How are you doing?
We're good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you.
You know, we never really know when people are going to show up because we do a live show here. And talk about a professional to have you show up on this show live after what you went through this week. What kind of a week have you had? What happened?
It's been an outrageous week. I just had discovered about a month ago that it was actually black mold in our apartment. This kind of black scratch that I saw along the floor, and then just kind of wiped it down and thought my son must have hit it with his foot or something. And both of my sons, I have a 23-year-old and 9-year-old. We both spent the last, month having what we thought was a cold flu. And literally in the middle of the night, I believe Spirit woke me up. Literally that night I was crying. I'm crazy. I'm losing my mind. I don't know what's going on. Like I wasn't clear. I couldn't think clear. And I just thought, something's really wrong. It's just me. I'm getting old. I'm messed up. I have issues. And literally, I woke up and it was like, there's black mold in your house. It was like inside of me. It's like, there's black mold. It's black mold. Get it tested tomorrow. Long story short, I did it, and then we were dealing with, a corporation that owns many buildings, and in these situations, they don't really care about human beings. They just care about money, and so they were quite difficult to deal with. And so just, within a week to try to find a place to live, pack my family up, get the money together to, find a place that wants first, last security, and it was pretty crazy. It's been pretty crazy, but we're happily almost all the way moved into a new place and slowly feeling better, and life goes on. But yeah, we have these challenging times. I mean, all of us do in our lives.
Right. Well, God,
I don't know that I dealt with it so well. Like I said, at moments I'm like, I'm losing it. I'm like, something's wrong with me.
Well, we all feel that day to day, Sherilyn, but I'll tell you, to have you go through this hurdle, I mean, that shows how strong your faith is. We want to have you talk about that too. But I want to know, how's your health? Because I saw pictures to where the mold was getting under your skin.
Child, it's a little scary. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm waiting for the, quote, biopsy to come back. I've never had this. They, it's a little, disgusting, but they, took this little piece of my arm. It's crazy. I don't, what's happening that's really strange is that in the middle of the night, two of my fingers on both of my hands are, freezing up and feeling, burning, and by freezing up I mean they're numb, and what's going on is very, very strange. If somebody, which most people don't, thank God they haven't had a lot of experience with mold. Mold illness it can be really bad. It can affect you psychologically, physiologically. It can affect you in so many different ways. So I'm waiting to hear what they say that is. They gave me something topical to put on it. I'm definitely feeling clearer. My son's not, coughing up and having bloody noses anymore. I mean, this is like a really, glamorous life I live. I can't believe we're having an interview about this. But this is, welcome to, reality.
Exactly.
This is really what it's like. I'm not some wealthy person that's calling the nannies to do anything for me.
I think Audrey would have just called Daddy, and it would have been taken care of.
And he would have done it, just because he just didn't want to have to hear her whine, not necessarily for the right reasons. Oh, Daddy,
Wow.
Some interesting seeds in Audrey there.
Well, definitely keep it going with the doctor, because I'll tell you, we had mold in our former residence, and we didn't know anything about it. We just painted over it. and
right.
Now I'm on oxygen, so it can get down in your lungs.
It can get in your lungs.
It's a
nasty
bad
stuff.
thing, definitely.
No, it's really heavy. I mean, what? The only other time that I dealt with it, my puppy, I'll close the door.
Okay.
The only other time I dealt with it, I'm from Michigan, so
right.
we deal with, shh, don't talk like that, we're on the radio. My 9-year-old's like cussing, and the only other, we dealt with it when my 9-year-old was only 3 months old. We were in this house, and literally these mushrooms sprouted on the seam of the wall, and I was just like, what is going on? And long story short, he has autism. He's on the autism spectrum, because it really attacks, immune systems that are, fragile, that are underdeveloped, et cetera. And he's great. He's fine. He's the best thing in my life. To me, autism is just the new species of beings that are coming that are, far more advanced than I am. But yeah, that was the first time. So when it happened again, I just was like, whoa, I'm not doing this. And that time they were like, oh, we're going to just rip up the floor and pour some bleach on it. And I was like, no, y'all not. I'm like, excuse me? Because at least I'd read about it. And that's what they want to do, which is why, well, it's part of the reason I hadn't planned to leave the building I was in. But I was like, I went to them. I said, let's deal with this the right way. We've never fought or had anything bad. And literally within 15 minutes, I'd heard stories from all the other neighbors that are, getting mold testing, and I just walked back in like, wow, so much for honesty, like
right.
so much for. It's sad. The state of affairs is the world is, for the most part, pretty depressing.
Yeah.
You just, who do you count on?
Right.
Who do you trust?
Well, I think you can
it's crazy.
Definitely count on fans. I hear a lot of fans come to your aid, because it's a thing to have to just come up with all this money all at once.
The last minute.
And I guess you had quite a few fans that helped you out. Is that right?
It was unbelievable. A friend of mine that she, Kimberly, her name is, and she knows. She was with me with my first son, who's 23 now, and our kids grew up together. Again, now I have the second son, who's the 9-year-old. So, she saw me. I said, okay, I'm just going to post T-shirts with pictures. I didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. Really, I had no idea what to do. And so she called me, and she's like, how are we going to do this? I'm like, I don't know. You got a couple $1,000 you can loan me. I mean, I don't know what to do. And she said, just go. She said, let's go on, besides fans doing that, she said, let's go on your Facebook page and just tell your friends, can anybody, if anybody can pitch in like $100, if you could pitch in anything. Well, to be really honest, I have so few people in my life. I'm not somebody that has tons of friends, tons of best friends. It's just not who I am. Now I realize I have far more friends than I thought I had.
Right.
It was a little overwhelming, the amount of people that pitched in and just were willing to do that. I'm still sort of digesting it, because it was very, very unexpected, and at first I feel ridiculous doing this, and then I was like, just do it. I didn't know what else to do.
Right.
I just 2 days ago, I received a check from Bruce Davison, who I worked with,
right.
And I love Bruce so much.
We're talking.
We've worked together a few times over the years.
Yeah, the actor.
And he just wrote on my Facebook, "What is your address?
Yeah.
Tell me how to help you." I was like, I love you so. Now he is a proper man. He has integrity. On some level, it doesn't surprise me that he would do it, but really, so many people that yeah, it was astonishing. So
well, that's one of the things. That's one of the things, Sherilyn, about you that is very refreshing. And this will kind of lead into talking about other stuff. Is that so many people, and I'm generalizing here, but a lot of fans just sit back and they look at actors, they look at celebrities, and they see them in this bubble, and they are this perfect doll of what they think. And you don't really realize sometimes that these people are real people. But you have always been a very honest person. You had a blog for a while, wrote about life, wrote about your beliefs, wrote about religion. And that's one of the things that I have heard from fans when we announced that you were coming on the show, that is so endearing about you, is that you're a real person. You don't put on airs. You don't pretend to be this doll on a shelf that nobody can relate to.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. I feel that, I just was blessed by meeting, like, a wonderful teacher, Roy London, who was not only an acting teacher, a good acting teacher is a life teacher. It's just, always having the courage to reveal yourself, always, knowing where you are. And, he used to say, an audition is have a more important reason to be there than to get the job. And so, yeah, to me, yeah, if I didn't have people like that, maybe I wouldn't have. He said, I remember he said, that messed up childhood, let me show you why it's a gift. And I was like, what? And yeah, and I still do blog. I do it now on my website, which a dear friend of mine created this website for me just because I helped turn her daughter a few times, Connie Woods, who actually played the new girl in Twin Peaks at One Eye Jack. She was the new girl.
Oh, okay.
And so Connie, a year ago, she made me this website. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? Well, a year later, now I'm bugging her. Well, can you add this? Can you do that? But it's Sherilyn Fenn .love. We were able to get .love, which is really cool. And I'm blogging there again. And it's. I think we have to get to a place in our life, hopefully sooner rather than later, where we really are just honest to reveal ourselves and what's going on. I had a lot of ugly, things written to me, like, this should be in a diary. Why are you writing? It's like, get off my page. Then don't come here. Why?
Exactly.
What do you... are you really taking the time to A, read it, and then B, write something ugly about it? There's so many other things you can do.
Right.
It really bothers me, and I know it bothers you too, that people criticize you about talking about your religion. We actually got the same thing from listeners. We had Denise Matthews, who was Vanity and part of Prince's life as well, and people were like, well, is this a station or is this church?
Well, because when she came on, we said, look, this is an open, uncensored forum. You can talk about whatever you want, and she wanted to come on and preach. And so we said, please be our guest, do that. And we got a lot of people that were saying, well, what is this, Sunday worship time? Like, this isn't blah, blah, blah.
But you get a lot of that criticism too, right?
Oh, yeah, I've gotten things, people saying things, but there's so many cool people and teachings coming into my life right now. And there's this wonderful man, his name is Devon Franklin, and he produces a lot of faith-based films, and is just really somebody to check out, to just check him out online. And he said, if you aren't getting negative, if you don't have haters, or what did he say? If you have haters, it means what you're doing is anointed. So I don't really, it's like, God bless you, just turn the channel, go someplace else. I know that my life has completely changed as a result of opening up and letting Jesus come into my life, or not even letting Jesus come into my life, because Jesus has been in my life since I was a little girl, and my grandmother taught me the Lord's Prayer, and every night we would say it together. And when I watched her pass, and she was blinking and twinkling her eyes and saying the angels were so bright, and pointed in the corner and said, Jesus is right there waiting for me, and the amount of blessings that have come in as a result of realizing that the most important thing in my life is the Lord, and to, you know, seek first the kingdom of heaven. And I love that Denise kind of, God, I mean, she went down such a dark road, you know. She had a really hard time, obviously, and she destroyed her body in the process. God bless her. And it's such a weird thing, that whole situation, because I met Prince when I was 18. And this is somebody that would have intense conversations with God, about God with me, and he would was very protective of me, and would kind of you know, don't get voice classes, don't do what they tell you to do, always be yourself, you know. My family calls me Sherry, so he would never call me Sherilyn, he only called me Sherry. He's quite an amazing person, and it's just I don't know, there's something magical about the whole thing coming full circle with, and really trippy. When she passed, I knew he was flipping out. I knew it. Oh my gosh. So that he passed a short time after, so did not surprise me. Anyway, yeah. I think that I feel that from my experience, my direct experience, is that by turning towards completely making God the most important thing in my life, and surrendering and obeying, being obedient, you know, there's not that many things that you're asked not to do. It's changed my life drastically, and you know, it's hard to really look at your life and sort of know the mistakes that you made, and like for me, I have to deal with I have so much anger since I was a child, because it was never the way it was supposed to be, and by that I mean my parents never stayed together. You know, my mom's been married 8 times. There were revolving doors of fathers, and just nobody stuck around. And when I now look at somebody like this man, you know, Devon Franklin, and he's married to this beautiful actress, Megan Good, and they just wrote this New York Times bestseller called The Wait, where they fell in love, and they decided to not be together intimately, you know, sexually, until they chose to be married. And it's a New York Times bestseller, which really, really says a lot. Makes me very, very, very happy that maybe slowly the world is starting to go, maybe we're doing something wrong here, you know. And,
just maybe.
And I've had these weird relationships where people, you know, I always thought, like, I did certain roles to explore sexuality because I was never really comfortable with it. Now, and then the result of it is people, oh, you're this and that, and all these, like, okay, well, no, that's what you think, you know. If you're interested and would like to ask me, I can share with you, but that's not why I did it. Otherwise, I would have been an exhibitionist. And it's like right now to have recently, to have seen and start to hear people understand that being physical with somebody is sacred, and it's the most that you can give somebody is your body, and the world treats it like just, you know, going to take a pee, you know.
Right.
And it's really sad. And I had a relationship where this man was like, you're frigid, you're this, you're that, something's wrong. And I really, like, took all this stuff for so long and thought there was something wrong with me. And as I turned my life over to God, and all these things started to happen, and I discovered this, on top of, you know, One Church LA and many other different people and situations, but this man's work, Devon Franklin, I was like, oh my gosh, I wasn't crazy. Like, they were messed up, you know what I mean? Like, It's just that the world, you know, is so exploitive, and
it is,
especially if you're a woman, and it's bad.
Well, everything you did was, as far as I'm concerned, in good taste. I mean, how do you handle it when you're at, like, a convention and people bring up things to sign, and maybe they put your Playboy issue in front of you? Does that embarrass you?
You know, I have no problem with my Playboy issue. Like, I've not... It's you know, God is, like, has the biggest identity theft ever. Okay, I mean, God and Jesus, what organized religion has done is really, really not good and not the God that I know.
Right.
Okay, I'm not being punished because I chose those pictures. I picked the photographer. I own all the rights to the pictures. When they saw them, they said they were too artsy. I said, then don't print them.
Right.
And of course they did. It was like, I have nothing to be ashamed of. The human body is not, now, if I was doing pornography, that would be different. But those are beautiful pictures.
They are. You have nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah, I'm not black and white, like, it has to be this way, or it doesn't, you cannot show your, come on. This is, that's kind of fanatical, that's a dogma. That's not the God that I believe in. That's not the God that I'm connected with. I think that is man's doing, and I think that they're constantly trying to keep us scared and consuming.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't have to do with when people bring up a Playboy. Who cares? I mean, if somebody gave me 10 Playboys, I sold them. Now, an interesting thing though is that I have all the rights to Playboy, right? And I have tons of pictures that no one's seen. And struggling financially, I'm wondering, do I sell them? And what's interesting is that I'm kind of getting that I'm supposed to not sell them. So I keep checking in and going, I just want to make sure that you're saying that I shouldn't sell these pictures.
Right.
Because I could pay some bills and I don't even have a car. So are you sure that's what you're saying? So it's,
I'm not so sure.
I'm just figuring it out.
Right. I'm not so sure God would have a problem with probably what was his best work. I mean, seriously,
I hear that, but then it's like, what the other side is that I mean, that's sweet. I'm not saying, oh, I agree. I'm saying that's a funny thing. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But on the other side, it's like, I want you to be known doing other things, know. My heart's desire has always been, I've always loved children. I love them so much, and to work with them and to be around them and to, I had on a small scale, I just wanted to, have a little class or do a little work, and this pastor said, if you can do, or Bishop T.J. Jake says, if you can do your dream by yourself, it's too small. I'm like, uh-oh.
Well, Sherilyn,
so I don't, go ahead.
I was just going to say, as we're doing this interview, I'm having fans that are submitting questions and stuff about some of your film and TV work, and I will kind of filter those in a little bit, but since you were talking about first kind of where your heart is with working with children and stuff, I wanted to take this opportunity to talk about, or have you talk about, your children's book, No Man's Land, and also your work with Fenn Films. For listeners that don't know about these, what are both of those?
Well, No Man's Land is a book that I wrote about my son, who is, as I said, on the autism spectrum, and he would say no even when he meant yes. And not only that, it's something that I think it's a phase that most children go through, and even one step farther, which was really cool. Why the people that published it initially wanted to publish it was they said that they felt that this is a message that even adults need to get, which is we all go to no man's land. We shut down. We get contracted. We get negative. We block good things from coming in. No Man's Land is available on Amazon. It's also on my website, which is www.sherilynfenn.love. Fenn Films is this beautiful group of people, one in particular in France, Sofiane, who came all the way here to meet with me, and it's kind of just in the works of getting it. We don't know what is going to evolve. He's trying to do different documentaries about different things, and if by God's grace I become more financially stable, there's definitely documentaries I've been wanting to do, and he wants to do, and so hopefully that will move forward.
You've done so many things.
But the book is alive. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going. Go ahead.
But the book is, it's alive and well, and I even found this amazing doll maker who
Yes.
her name is Sarah, and she owns a company called Devout Dolls, and she made the hero doll of No Man's Land. And I just it's really hard because I'm still kind of doing, quote, grassroots with it. So I'm looking, to be honest, for a bigger publisher that will let me go around the world with it and properly do a book tour. And I really want to. I want to be of service. I want to give back. I want to help children. I want to do more in the world. I tried to do it through my work. I tried to tell. My truth is always in every job I do through the lines that somebody else has given me.
Right.
Because that's what I was taught, that, my truth is far more interesting than, some made-up story. And I believe that's true of everybody. I believe everybody's truth is really important. And if we lived in a place where people felt safe to really share their truths with each other, it would be a different world.
Well, you mentioned dolls, and that's why I said yes like I did. Do you not make Audrey dolls?
We made Audrey dolls, and much to my dismay, a big, fat corporate company who shall remain nameless killed the Audrey doll. And so I have decided that we're now going to birth just a Sherilyn doll.
There you go.
Yeah. Because it's like
it looks the same.
Shoes, and it doesn't matter that David wrote the role for me. No, that doesn't matter. That the role was not, that Audrey Horne was not in the original script.
Right.
Okay, Northwest Passage, which then became Twin Peaks. David met women for different roles. A week later called and said he's writing you a role. Anyway, I'm going to get in trouble.
Well, I don't want that to happen.
Because I'm very blunt and honest, and
Yes.
I have been asked to not say these things that I've already found myself saying.
Well, then let's just stop, because we don't want to get...
I did want to tell you, Sherilyn,
so
that...
Audrey doll, I'm going to make Sherilyn dolls, and what's neat about that is I've been in Gilmore Girls. I've done all kinds of jobs.
Yes.
I've have a career for 33 years.
Yes.
And whether it's Audrey or Curly's wife in Of Mice and Men, or the Elizabeth Taylor story, it still is me. So,
That's right. And Audrey looks a lot like Sherilyn, so I mean, buy the Sherilyn doll. And I'm trying to rack my brain. I don't think you were there, but I wasn't aware of you at the time. I did an episode of Gilmore Girls, and I don't know if you were there or not. Maybe we could have met. I don't know. But
right?
When I was there, how was it for you? It was the most unhappy set I'd ever worked on. They were all fighting.
Oh, well, Amy Sherman-Palladino is so good to me and so loving to me, and I didn't have a lot of scenes with the person that she had a lot of issues with, so I didn't know. I was okay. I was happy there, and I did two characters, and the second time was the first time was the most fun, because first time we were trying to do a spin-off. She was trying to do a spin-off starring Milo.
Mm-hmm.
And so half of us were, so half of them were at a different place. I had short blonde hair, and we were shooting in Venice, and I love the crew and everything. I do hear what you're saying. A few of them were like, oh my God, so-and-so's a nightmare, blah, 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 blah. But Amy was wonderful, kind, and loving to me, and the couple times I worked there, they were good to me. So
that's good.
I was grateful. Yeah.
Well, if you would have been there, we could have had lunch. That would have been fun.
I know.
I don't know why you didn't get into music. Because am I right that your aunt wears leather pants and plays guitar and was Pinky Tuscadero on Happy Days? Suzi Quatro?
She totally was, but she wasn't Pinky. She was Pinky's little sister, Leather.
Oh, that's right.
Yes,
Excuse me, you're right. I got my leathers mixed
music, my grandfather, all of his, 4 daughters and 1 son, they all played instruments. They were all, I just don't have the ego. It was too out there, like on the stage and stuff. And Prince was pushing me towards that a little. Or not, he wasn't pushing me. He would say, "Do you want to?" And why don't you write some lyrics? And as a result of that, I remembered one thing that I wrote, which is actually going to be my second children's book, book, and I wrote it as a result of Prince saying, just write some stuff, write what you want to say, write what you feel, write what you see in the world. But yeah, I didn't want to stand up and sing and dance in front of people.
Wow. Well, Suzi's awesome. I mean, she's just a wonderful lady.
Yeah,
I could see the down earth Michigan thing.
Right.
You know, totally. I mean, that's probably why you're the way you are, you know.
All right, so some of the questions coming in, because we got tons of questions coming in. The first question, this is from Dave. He says, for the past 10 years, there's been a lot of enthusiasm and renewed interest in Twin Peaks from young people in their teens and 20s. Has this taken you by surprise that it's found yet another generation?
25 years later.
It has totally and completely shocked me. When people come up, I say, how old are you? I do. They're like 19. I'm like, you are younger than my child. What are you doing here? You know, we love your character. Yes. And the neatest thing about it is when I started acting, someone wise, you know, said that cliche, but cliches are there for a reason. You know, great work stands the test of time. Mm-hmm. And to be a part of something that people still care about, and that, you know, with all the choices of, you know, things there are to watch, that people watched it, and then that she became somebody special. I don't understand it, but I have a lot of gratitude, because I put a lot of my heart in it, and a lot of my clothes in it. Hello. And a lot of my words. I would say something, and next week it's in the script. Okay. You know, so that people like it and like her. It, you know, for you know, yeah, a girl from Michigan who is not sure she's very lovable. It feels pretty good.
You know,
of course, with David Lynch, you can't really lose. He's a genius.
Right.
You had a lot of great
genius.
Special effects in that show were tremendous. But one thing I want to make sure wasn't a special effect. Can you really tie a cherry stem with your tongue?
Oh, good Lord.
There's the question. You know, 3 times during filming, David Letterman kept asking me to come on the show, and I was like, no way am I going on. I'm not a real public person. Can I now? Yes. Could I then? No. And when I did it, Mark Frost directed that episode. I'm like, this is really stupid. He's like, that's what people do in college. I said, well, I wouldn't know, because I'm a high school dropout. This is stupid. And, you know, but then it turned into this thing, and I don't know.
My favorite scene ever, and then we got to go to more questions, is when you're at One Eye Jack's, you're the bordello brothel, and you accidentally have an encounter with your father, and you're not wanting to let him know that you're his daughter, and you're wearing a mask and everything. That had to be hilarious.
Well, Richard Beamer, what was it like working with him? I mean, he is insanely talented. What was he like on set?
He's great, and so much fun, and lively, and game, and ready for anything, and he's great. He's a silly, fun, wonderful man. That scene to me was I was like, oh, the worst nightmare. Can you imagine, your dad? I mean, oh my God, awful.
All right.
I'm glad it turned out well, because as far as Laura Palmer and her dad, they didn't turn out so well. That was, as we saw in Fire Walking.
I'm telling you, there's a theme there or something. What's that about? I don't know.
To know that show's coming back after going that taboo, I mean, telling you, that's...
All right.
I know.
The next question from the listeners. This is actually, I have some more coming in that's not about Twin Peaks, but this is one more Twin Peaks one. They just said, I know that Sherilyn is good friends with Cheryl Lee, but I don't think their characters ever appeared in the same scenes during the original run. How did that friendship develop?
Because the very first, we were shooting at the Great Northern, and to be because down on close by that particular set was where they ended up finding Laura, wrapped in plastic and everything. So we met on the set and just clicked right away. And I love Cheryl Lee. Cheryl Lee has a heart of gold. She's such a good, wonderful, beautiful soul. And we've always stayed friends, and she went and had a baby boy and was like, I did it because you said it was so great and you were right, and but we just totally clicked. She was she was so sweet and still is, just completely genuine, and was like, I can't even believe I'm here. He just picked my picture out of, nowhere and said, that's Laura Palmer, and, and so,
well, we know
we met on the set, for sure.
We know you can't talk about the new Twin Peaks, and we don't want to get you in trouble, and we won't get you in trouble because we love you, but are we safe to ask, because we do know you are involved in some way, and I won't ask you in what way or how extensive or what you do, but a question from Al out there, Astro L, is what was it like when you were back on set of the new show after that long a time? Was it more like a reunion? I know you guys did a thing with old cast members in a kind of a takeoff on a show called Psych, Dual Spires. But
that was more of a reunion. That was so much fun doing Dual Spires. Oh my gosh, we had such a great time. What was it like?
Yeah, coming back to Twin Peaks.
For me, it was like a dream come true. I mean, I had hoped, and I didn't think it was ever going to happen. I'm really good friends with Jennifer, David's daughter. She's been really a dear friend in my life ever. She wrote and directed Boxing Helena.
Yes.
And that's when we got close. And she always said it wasn't going to happen, that he wasn't going to do it. So I was in complete shock that it was happening. It was a dream. It's a dream come true, I mean, because for me personally, I thought the second season lost its way a little bit, and for my opinion, to have David come back and do all 18, and that's why we fought for him,
right?
Because first he was doing 9, and he called Easter Sunday and said he's out, and I had a lot of swearing going on at that point. Jesus hadn't come in yet and said stop it, and I said I'm not doing anything if you're not doing it, and we got right to work, and the fans came through again. The fans came through. They aired the pilot. They weren't going to do any shows. Mm-hmm. The fans wrote in.
Yeah.
Okay? The fans wrote in, then they did 7 episodes. So they saved us that time. This time, David, they say, yes. Well, isn't that out there already? So I can't get in trouble. So he's going to write, he wrote 9, and then it seemed like he felt like there was more. There was more. Like he felt like it was incomplete. So when he wanted to do more, they said no, because it was probably like, not 9, 18, that would be double everything, right?
Right.
So he said, well, then I'm not doing it. And I think some people, not myself at all, were saying they were going to do it without him, which is, how could you ever do that?
Yeah, right. How?
So we got really, 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 really verbal, and I got Machen, and we all got together, and we made tapes, and then the fans, I think, made it happen. Like, social media went crazy, and then they let him do all the episodes. Okay. So we're in for a ride. I mean, I don't even,
Without getting into details, I think it's probably just safe to say that Audrey did not get blown up in the bank.
You don't know that.
Well, maybe she did.
You'll
have to tune in to find out. I don't know if she got blowed up or not.
Well, what she didn't do is die in the bank. That we do know. Even Mark said it in his book. And when I saw that script, I was so upset. I went, what do you do? He said, we wouldn't kill Audrey. He said, we had such a cliffhanger, Sherilyn Fenn. It's a cliffhanger. I'm like, oh, God. Okay. So, yeah.
Well, we hope they use you wisely, because where the show, the originals, this is my opinion, okay? It's not your opinion. It may be your opinion, but you don't have to comment. And that is, the show did lose its way a little bit and lost its way when they stopped the thing between you and Cooper. Because you guys were magic together. You really were.
Agreed, and it wasn't a plan. He was, and the funniest thing is, everything about Audrey was not a plan.
Right.
And I think it confused people, the people that were making it. She wasn't in the script initially. She wasn't in the story initially. She wasn't supposed to be with Dale Cooper initially. She wasn't supposed to get nominated for anything initially. She wasn't supposed to somehow. And I feel like, it's not me, it's not him, it's not. I feel like that's the Lord. Right. I feel like that the Lord said, I have put you in a position for 33 years for a reason.
Right.
Okay? So I needed you to grow and do this stuff, and I was not meant to be in Fire Walk with Me. Okay? not meant to be in that movie. And my sweet David was very angry. But I got cast in Of Mice and Men.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry.
It's
what
a
an
classic,
amazing role. John Malkovich, Of Mice and Men. I felt like I was a real actress. I'm working with John Malkovich.
Yeah,
oh my
that?
God. I tested for it. It was a big deal for me to be a part of that. These are theater actors from Steppenwolf in Chicago. I mean, like, I could cry when I saw John Malkovich.
Right.
I'm sorry, he's amazing. So I was not meant to. I feel like the Lord's hand was in every single step of the way. I was not meant to be in that movie. I was meant to be in this movie. I was meant to do this. So, yeah, he was. I was just, just have Audrey say hi to, Dale Cooper because he's staying at the Great Northern.
Right.
They were going to go have him be with Joan Chen.
Right.
But we all know the story, which I
Yeah.
guess I said before other people did and wasn't supposed to. But, yeah, that's what happened, and they changed it for really strange reasons. And but even that was meant to be, I guess.
Right.
I don't know, because it happened, right?
I'm sure Billy Zane's character was happy about how it wound up.
Yes, he was very happy about that.
Hey, you mentioned how your life kind of changed. You got involved with the Lynches, and as you said, just like Kimmy, because she was also on our show, friends with Jennifer Lynch. Boxing Helena is such a wonderful film, and I think everybody should see it. What was that like for you, playing such an odd role? Basically, you were just a torso, as a head and a torso without arms and legs, and in a box. What was your motivation for how you moved and how you stood, and how did they do that effect?
Well, it was David Copperfield's illusionist actually built the box. To me, there's so much about it. It's a weird, beautiful, trippy fairy tale. The thing about there's many things about that film that I could go on about. The first thing is that many people had an opinion about it that never saw it, which that's pretty. Forgive me. That's pretty ignorant.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Women were out, picketing the film when I showed up, and I just said, "Have you seen this film at the premiere?" And they said, "No." I said, look here. This is my hand. I'm walking away. I mean, are you kidding? Like, you're okay. So, this is a film about what it looks like on the outside. If we were to demonstrate what it looks like to be in obsessive relationships, in any kind of a relationship that really is obsessive and we get hurt.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There is no blood in the film. This is not a horror film. But the truth is, it gets so under your skin, that people get upset and angry. And Jennifer has a way of doing that, and she's done it again and again, if you've seen her other films, and far more intensely than she did in Boxing Helena. But her in the box, she saw her as this jewel in a box. And being a woman, and being just even an actress, I know what it's like to be in a box. People see you a really specific way. That it's very shallow. It's very specific. It's oftentimes extremely, very far from the truth. It's like what's that? Think out of the box. There's boxes are everywhere. That whole idea. For me, I was more afraid of who Helena was in the beginning, how mean she was. Like, when I read it, I could see her sitting there and I didn't want to talk to her, oh my gosh, she's such a bitch, okay. I understood who hopefully she would evolve into, and to be more vulnerable or discover, but in the beginning oh my gosh, and I read it, but I heard about how, the Kim Basinger had basically chickened out and pulled out, and they had to bulldoze sets, and millions of dollars later, you don't do that. And then Madonna, which they can only be grateful she didn't do it. And and Ed Harris, who is an amazing actor, he was attached through the entire time because he understood and had the intellect and the depth of being and and the heart to understand what this very strange, beautiful story was trying to share. And we all met with him after I'd been cast, and he's like, Sherilyn, Jennifer, I can't do this with Sherilyn because it becomes an older man obsessed with a younger woman.
Right.
We're too far apart in age. And then you change your whole story. You have to get somebody closer to her age. Otherwise, it's old man wants young girl.
Right.
And that completely changes. Now, we didn't care. We want old man. We'll do anything for you, Ed Harris, but he, made the choice that he made. But, yeah, when I read it, I threw it across the room, and I was very upset, and I knew I had to do it, and I was, that's always a good sign if I throw it across the room.
Did you worry about the paraplegic angle, that you would make them mad? I mean, people that have no arms and legs and...
To be honest, I did not. Gosh, am I a horrible person? Because for me it was a kind of a fairy tale, and I understood what the movie was through to the end, if you know what I mean, without ruining it.
Right. Another question.
So yeah, I didn't look at it that way, and I look at what. People can walk around with all their limbs and can be pretty handicapped anyway.
Oh,
right.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Another question from the audience, Sherilyn, is could you please ask Sherilyn what it was like working with Screamin' Jay Hawkins in Two Moon Junction? Because I understand he later actually wrote and recorded a song called Sherilyn Fenn in tribute to her.
Well... Now I feel really bad because I don't think we worked together. But I know that he wrote that song, but we didn't work together.
Okay.
Now, what if someone says you did? Now, Screaming Jay's going to hunt me down.
The next question it says, Sherilyn starred in another TV series a few years after Twin Peaks called Rude Awakening. What was it like working with Lynn Redgrave, who played her character's mother?
Rude Awakening is one of the best experiences I've ever had in my career. I loved working on that show so much. I love Lynn Redgrave. I miss her so much. Miles at the time, my oldest son, was young at the time and called her TV grandma. Oh, yes, darling, come over here. She was the best. She was generous and kind and funny and smart, and she said I was vertically challenged, and because she's so, oh yes, darling, you're vertically challenged. she's amazing. I mean, she's just. I mean, who gets to work with Lynn Redgrave and Richard Lewis and
right.
Claudia Linnell is such an amazingly brilliant writer, and here's somebody who took her life and did the ultimate thing. That was her life story. She was on Knots Landing, Michelle Phillips' daughter. She played at 15, 16, 17, 18, right? By the time she's like 19, 20, she's a raging alcoholic, waking up, slamming shots of tequila, Coke, everything. Total, slut, hanging out with everybody. Now, this is, I'm not, telling stories. This is what Claude will tell you herself. This is what our show is about. Mm-hmm. And then she got sober, and she stayed as crazy as ever, but it became the best time in her life. And she wrote a show about it, and she wrote it just for herself, really, but then it became, I loved it. I loved doing that show. I keep like writing, Claudia, can't we just do like a 2-hour, can't we just do 20 years later, what is Billy Frank doing now, please? But I loved it. It was an amazing, amazing experience.
Now, next question from one of our listeners named Jeff. He says, could you ask her about working on Charles Band's Meridian, and if she has shot anything in as exotic of a location than Italy?
The reason to do that was that was my trip to Italy. That was. and Charlie is a sweetheart. Charlie is a very sweet man, and it was lovely to stay. We stayed in his castle there, and I know that it's a movie that some people will think is silly and this and that, and maybe it is, but life is silly.
Yeah.
You know, I had fun doing it. I loved being in Italy. I loved Charlie and the whole little family that he works with, and like I said, being in the castle, that was my trip to Italy. I did a biblical story called Slave of Dreams with Edward James Olmos and Adrian Pasdar about the Joseph the slave. We did that in northern Africa in a place called Ouazzezard. Apparently, we're it's like 60 kilometers away from Marrakesh. So that was a pretty exotic place to shoot. My baby was only 3 months old, my first child, 3 months old. It was crazy.
Wow.
But it was wonderful, and I loved the story, and but it was hard. It was pretty hard.
Well, you're this itty bitty thing, and I saw a picture of you pregnant. You got big when you got pregnant. I mean, wow,
like a truck. I gained 50 pounds with both of my babies, and I'm 5'3.5". It was crazy. It was crazy.
Well, Sherilyn, before we go, I wanted to ask you if you wouldn't mind doing 2 what we call station IDs for us for this.
Absolutely, no problem.
The first one I'm going to have you do is for us, and then the second one I'm going to have you do is for a fellow broadcaster friend of ours who we owe him a debt of gratitude, because while we are a fan of yours and while we are a fan of and friends with Kimmy Robertson, we hadn't watched Twin Peaks. And it took him about 10 years, just because we were always so busy, it took him about 10 years of dogging us to get us to sit down and watch 30 little episodes, and now it's all we talk about.
He would not leave us alone. He stalked us until he said Twin Peaks was the modern day Dark Shadows. So that's
That's so cool. It would be my pleasure to. I would love to.
Okay, so the first station ID, you're just going to say, hi, this is Sherilyn Fenn. You can say whatever you want, and then just say you are listening to Terry and Tiffany on Cult Radio.
Hi, this is Sherilyn Fenn sending you lots of love and light, and you are listening to Terry. Oh, God. You guys, I always get these things wrong.
That's okay. Terry and Tiffany on Cult Radio.
Look, I'm seriously going to write it down because I'm Dory.
Hey, if you think that's bad, try being a radio guy. We don't remember nothing. We have notes.
Okay, here we go. Ready?
Ready.
Hi, this is Sherilyn Fenn, and I just wanted to give you lots of love and light and tell you I am listening. Oh, my God. Hi, this is Sherilyn Fenn, sending lots of love and light, and I'm here listening with Terry and Tiffany on Cult Radio.
Perfect.
And then the second one is going to be
Now wait, Ghosty, are you listening? I'm paying you back for making me the biggest Twin Peaks fan ever. I became an instant fan when I saw you. I mean, that was it, okay?
Okay, the next one is going to be that you're listening to Ghosty on WFDU.
Is it ghosty like a ghost?
Yeah, ghosty like a ghost.
Hi there. Hi, this is Sherilyn Fenn, and you are listening to Ghosty at WFDU. Sending you love, Ghosty. Mwah.
Okay, he just passed out. I'm sure he did. He's on the floor right now.
All right, Sherilyn, before we wrap this up, one last question. This was a repeat question we got from a lot of people, especially now that you're writing and you blog and you also have your children's book out. Everybody wants to know, whether it's now or a couple of decades down the road, have you thought about or made any decisions about doing an autobiography?
I'm absolutely doing my memoirs. I'm absolutely doing it. I'm compiling stories, and I'm going to tell you this. You know what it's not going to be is boring. I love Bryan Cranston, and I just read his, and it was really boring, and I was shocked that it was boring. So I'm going to do one that is a series of vignettes and stories and lots of pictures and lots of fun little interesting stories about things in my life and people that I knew and people that I spent time with and how they affected my life. And it's not going to be, I was born February 1st, 1965 in Detroit, Michigan. I mean, oh my Lord and Taylor, it gets so bad. Yes, I can't wait to do it. I'm absolutely doing it. Now that I'm in my new place, I'm going to start putting my file cards up on the wall and start to put it together. I really look forward to doing that. God willing, I have a lot more years left on the planet, but
yes.
Yeah, I'm going to do it in a really fun, unique, exciting way.
Well, let's see. You hung out with Prince. I think you were engaged to Johnny Depp. It couldn't have been boring. It really couldn't have been.
Johnny Depp was my first love.
And if he would have stuck with you, he wouldn't have the problems he's having now. Okay?
Oh, child. We all go through what we go through. God bless him. He's got a heart of gold. He's a really good soul. Life is hard. It's, everybody... When you're in the public eye, it's a weird thing. I love playing Elizabeth Taylor because I learned so much about, the way she viewed, one day they loved her, the next day they hated her. They loved her, then she's with Eddie Fisher, then they hate her. Then she gets a tracheotomy, then they love her. It's just, then they give her an Academy nomination for her first role because she almost died of a tracheotomy. It's just ridiculous, And
God bless you for making sure that
people have to really tone down the judgment on people that are in the public eye. We're far from perfect. We're flawed as the next person, but judge not lest ye be judged. As harsh as we're going to judge somebody, guess what? It's coming right back to you.
Yes.
You can guarantee that. If you can take a breath and go, God, I hope she's okay. God, I hope he's okay. God bless him. Maybe he's having a hard time. Then that comes back to you.
Yeah.
What is the deal with that? It's really ugly. I really wish some of that could be toned down because it's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think you were born out of time. You look like a classic Hollywood movie star. I know you had great respect for that. It was because of that you demanded that Elizabeth Taylor be viewed in a light in the film.
With integrity.
With integrity and not as a mockery like a lot of people tend to do. And way back to silent films, you basically honored all those people. I know Prince likes silent stars too.
And I've had read, I don't know if it's true, but I guess you, and this was something you shared with Prince, were both big Clara Bow fans, right?
Yes, totally.
Wow.
We had so many weird connections that way, yeah. And Clara Bow was another one that was, seen a certain way but not really understood. And, it's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
We can just love people for who they are, and if they make you smile, that's a good thing, you know.
We're very saddened that your friend and someone that we love, Prince, passed, but I'm sure he's in a happier place, and you'll all be together again someday. And he was great, but we're big, major Prince fans. When we talked to Denise,
I shut down for about a month when I heard he had passed. I just couldn't.
My favorite part
I'm still a little messed up with it.
Yeah.
Tell me a Denise story. Tell me.
Well, I'm still laughing. My favorite part, because Prince was still alive when we had Denise Matthews on, and at the end, well, she talked a lot about Prince. At the end, I said, please say hi to your little friend.
Your little purple friend.
Little purple friend. And she's like, oh, he wouldn't like that.
She said that he would or he wouldn't.
No, he
wouldn't
like that at all. She said, he wouldn't like that.
He might interpret it as a short joke, and I was just saying little friend.
But he doesn't. But he was so trippy that way. I got him this little pillow that we hung on his door. It said, shh, the little prince is sleeping. And he goes up, and he didn't care, but there's a funny thing. Warren Beatty said this quote, that he was at the Academy Awards with him, and he was standing there, and Prince was standing there, and somebody else. And Warren was like, yeah, well, all of this is going on. Here we are, here we are. And Prince says, yep, and I'm still short.
Well, we look forward to seeing you in the new Twin Peaks.
And comes out for everybody. It's going to be on Showtime May 21st. It debuts.
Yes, everybody tune in and just go for the ride. Just don't decide what you think it needs to be, because that can, the best thing is I don't even know what's going to happen. Seriously, we didn't get scripts, so it's just go for a ride, and let's see where David Lynch is going to take us this time. It's going to be beautiful.
And once again, tell people about your website as we say goodbye here.
And my website is www.sherilynfenn.love. And, there's whatever's going on, and my blog is on there, and there's pictures and all kinds of good stuff.
Oh, perfect. I want to thank you so much for joining us, Sherilyn. God bless you.
And
we
thanks
love
to your
you.
son. Thanks to your son, Miles.
Yes.
I mean, he helped us a lot here, so appreciate it.
I know, my Miles. Well,
Yeah.
God blesses you both, too, and I love that you're so open.
Yeah.
You're not, like, in a box. You're
Right.
open to people truly sharing who they are and their experience. And
That's us.
Absolutely.
I hope that people are, I don't know, seek first, and you'll be happy, I promise.
Well, God bless you, Sherilyn, and I know you
God
are
bless
blessed.
you.
I know your
Thank
life
you.
is being led, and thank you so much for being on. I mean, after you coming on, after what you've been through, man, what can I say? What can I say?
Well, it's been lovely. You two are wonderful. Maybe
Thank
we'll
you.
end up on another set at some point, and you'll be like, it's me!
All right. Thank you again. Have a great rest of your weekend.
You too. Thanks so much, you too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.